So we finally got a new Battlefield community update, and this is the class system part 2 that we've been waiting for I think 3 weeks by now. And this is supposed to dive deeper into the classes and maybe give us a hint at some changes they're making towards the class system based on player feedback that they got from Battlefield Labs. But before you're getting too excited, one thing first, they did not revert the class system, they did not change it significantly, and they did not lock the weapons. So if that's what you were looking for, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is not happening, or at least not yet. And this is not really mentioned as a part of this class system here, or of this community update. What they mention though is that they've seen the suggestions to revert to previous systems. I think mostly the completely locked system or the semi-open Battlefield 4 system. And they're keeping these in mind in the discussions as they aim to connect new and veteran players to the Battlefield experience, fostering teamwork and creating universal understanding of our systems for the future. Now, what this means translated is, we got your feedback, we hear you, but we have a vision for this game and we will probably not act upon this feedback. So to me, it sounds like they're sticking to this and they're doubling down on this system they have here, this more open system with the open weapons, and that we might not see any significant changes to this in the future. Otherwise, I think they would have actually wrote something different here. Then they recap on part 1 of the class system. So here again, we have this overview of what the class system is about, so that it's customizable for the players, but that it's also class defining, and what all of these points are about. So as a customizable, you have the weapon loadouts, the class gadgets, then training, which are the field specializations and throwables. And as the class defining part, there are signature weapons, signature traits, signature gadgets, and the weapon packages. One of the paths they're talking about in this specific community update here is the training. So training is the field specializations, or this was the name that it had in Battlefield 4, which means that you have these levels, so level 0 to level 3, and you basically level this up by your actions as a player. So you earn score, and then with your score you level up these passive perks. And they're writing here that level 0 is always a passive benefit available upon immediate selection of the training path. So this perk is always available for your soldier. And then levels 1 and 2 is an enhanced benefit aimed at improving your selected role, only earnable through team play progression and score XP. So that's what I said before. And this is basically the same system that we had in Battlefield 4 as well. And then on level 3, and I already talked about this in a former video as well, this is a one-time usability that you manually activate and either benefits yourself, your team, or your situation in the match. And as an example, we have the recon training right here, and there are 2 paths for this, so 2 training paths. One is sniper and one is pathfinder. And on the sniper path, you have on level 0 improved auto-spotted speed, range, and duration. Then on level 1, sniper hits highlight enemy and prevents healing. And then on level 2, sniper headshots are unrevivable. So if you get hit with headshot by a sniper, you cannot get revived by your squad mate or by a medic. And then on the Pathfinder, you have a level 0, quieter takedowns, crouch and prone movement. Level 1, undetected by equipment except when sprinting. So if there is a tox placed, you will not get spotted, for example. And level 2, enemies you damage are spotted for your team. So this sounds pretty much like the level 1 for the sniper, only that the enemy is also spotted for your whole team and not only highlighted for yourself. So I'm thinking that over there this is only for yourself. And on level 3, which is this active ability, you can call in a UAV to a marked position for passive spotting. So this is the example they're naming right here, and this is basically how it works for the other classes as well, only that of course the benefits are different. One more point that is interesting though for the level 3 ability is that when you trigger this ability, so when you use it, it will get reset and it will reset you to level 2, and then you have to re-earn the level 3 ability through scoring XP or through team play progression. So you can earn this over and over again. So like in the example of the recon, once you used your UAV, you just earn this level again and then you get another UAV. I'm not sure what's happening though when you switch the class, if your progression is also reset, or when, for example, you started into the game as a recon and you already progressed to level 3 and then you switch to an assault, for example, will you also have level 3 on the assault, or will you be set back to level 0 or maybe set back to level 2? I'm not sure how this will work, and there's also no information about this here in the update. And then we have the class identity again, and here they're also again talking about the signature weapons. So they already talked about this in part 1, and from what I've seen, nothing has changed here. So signature weapon means that you have a benefit when you pick an assault rifle as the assault class, for example. So this means that using an assault rifle with the assault class will result in faster transitions from sprint to shoot and switching between assault rifles and other weapons. And especially this point here is interesting because we know from the leaks that assault has access to a second primary weapon, which means that if you use an assault rifle, you might also be able to switch faster between the two primary weapons that you can equip. So this might be an incentive here as assault player to take the assault rifle. Then for the engineer, we have the submachine guns, still have the submachine guns, which means that you will benefit from improved hipfire control when using these SMGs. Then as support, your signature weapons will be light machine guns, which means when using these submachine guns, they will not suffer from sprint speed penalties like other classes would if they would use the same weapon. So when you're using the LMG as an assault, for example, you will have a lower sprint speed, and when you use it as support, you will not have this. And then as a recon, your signature weapons are the sniper rifles, which makes sense, I guess. And this means that scope sway will be decreased, and the ability to stabilize your aim by holding your breath is improved, and you will also be highly proficient with sniper rifles, so you are faster at rechambering between the shots. If these signature weapons, of these traits, will really be an incentive for players to pick these weapons instead of another weapon, I guess it really comes down to how this is balanced, and if you really feel a difference between using an assault rifle as an assault, for example, or using an LMG or an SMG as an assault. And then we have the signature traits, and this is basically a passive perk that each class has, no matter which gadgets you pick or no matter which weapon you pick. So for the assault class, this is enhanced mobility, which means this class has reduced fall damage and no movement speed penalty that results from a fall. As engineer, there is explosive damage resistance, which I think is a great perk for the engineer class since they're around vehicles a lot. So of course this means that there is a reduction to damage they take from explosions and also from explosives. Then as support, there's faster revive. So this trait allows for faster reviving when stationary. And then recon is aim spotting. And this is something I'm a bit on the fence with, because it basically means that you only have to aim down sights to automatically spot an enemy. And while this sounds interesting, it could lead to some problems in players always being spotted, because you have enemy recons being on the edge of the map and basically only aiming down sights to spot you automatically. So I'm a little bit on the fence with this, but as I said before, it all comes down to balancing, and I hope they do their job here and get feedback through labs if this is too much or not. And then we also have a signature gadget, so each class has their gadget that they cannot unequip and that is always equipped, which is basically the class gadget in Battlefield 2042. So the Assault class has the Adrenaline Ejector, which grants resistance to flash and stun effects, enhances sprint speed, reduces explosive damage, and amplifies enemy footsteps for a brief period. So I think in the leaks this was a healing pen, so it seems like they actually went away from the healing pen and went with the Adrenaline Injector instead, which I think is a good choice, because with the healing pen this would have meant that the Assault class would not have to rely on the Support class for heals, which takes down a little bit of the team play. So I think probably the Adrenaline Injector is the better choice here. Then for the Engineer we have the Repair tool, of course, so you can more efficiently repair vehicles and gadgets. Then for the Support we have the Supply Bag, which will heal and provide with a certain amount of ammo. So we still have this combined bag right here, but they're also writing that they're currently working through the balance of this gadget through Battlefield Labs, and I think this really is necessary when you have such a combined gadget. And then for the Recon we have the motion sensor, so I think that this still is the Tox, because at least that's what it was in the leaks that we've seen, and this is of course for spotting. And then they're also writing a few things to the learnings that they got from Battlefield Labs so far. So the Assault class, for example, where players have emphasized the Assault has too much of a lone wolf mentality, and there is a desire to make this class self-reliant and instead enhance team play capabilities. So I think this is why they removed the healing and instead it got the Adrenaline Injector. Then for the Engineer, it seems like that the feedback was that the Engineer is in a good place, but they're still exploring ways to further enhance its interaction with vehicles, which I think is a good thing, because this is like two players or two player types that actually belong together on the battlefield, the vehicle players and the engineers. So I think it's good if they have a good way to interact with each other and help each other. And then for the Support class, it seems like the feedback indicated that there was an abundance of supply crates all over the map, and that this led to a situation with excessive healing and basically permanent ammo, I'm guessing. And then for the Recon, the play sessions and the feedback have highlighted room for improvements with this class, so they're looking more into this specifically through the training paths. And then some general changes that they also highlight here, for example, that there was a strong feedback against ballistic armor, so I'm guessing armor plates that we also have in Battlefield 2042, and as a result this feature is no longer included in the multiplayer modes. And they're specifically writing multiplayer modes here because I think it will still be available in the Battle Royale mode. And additionally, improvements are ongoing with movement and animations, as well as vehicle handling for ground vehicles and aircraft control. And that was pretty much everything we can take from this. So they did take feedback into consideration. They changed a few things here and there, not significantly though. Weapons are still open, but they're trying their best through class gadgets and the signature traits and the signature weapons to get the class identity in and to give us the best class identity possible with this vision they have that revolves around these open weapons. So I think that this is actually what we have to live with, because I don't think there will be any significant changes made to this, and I don't think they will ever go back to a locked or only a semi-open system. And yeah, that was it for today. Pretty long video. I'm sorry about this, but it's a very, very long blog post as well. It's linked in the description below, of course, if you want to read through it yourself. And as usual, tell me what you think about this in the comments below. I'm always interested in hearing your opinion. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. I'm Catwoman, and you are awesome.